I have done like 80, 90 of these mids watches. Not once have any of us ever discussed a Rollo Tomassi article. Except for today. Mids watch, Ryan, we're going over Alpha. If you haven't heard of that, it is the old Corey Worthington article. It's one of the more famous Rollo articles. There's Saving the Best. There's the Safety Net. There's Alpha. It's mostly the first year stuff. It's probably the most important stuff. Anyways, it's a simple article. If I remember, I'll put the link to it in the description. If not, you just look up the article, October 20th, 2011. It's called Alpha. And it's a YouTube video of this guy, Corey Worthington, some Australian guy who's like shirtless with some goofy sunglasses on. Had a party, trashed his parents' place. He ended up making the national news. And he just didn't care. He was completely aloof and irreverent, and Rollo always refers to him as the Alpha Buddha. And he used it in the article's case to make an example for you that the things that make you a good person and the thing that make you a good lay are not the same thing. So your sexual attractiveness and your moral anything, completely tangential to each other. And that's the article. So it's pretty funny. I'm not going to go bother. Oh, yeah. Because, yeah, I mean, a lot of it was just a lot of guys arguing that you need to be a leader of man, a servant leader. And that's like this weird Christian thing. So a lot of Rollo stuff is really about showing Christian men how far their faith has failed them. And it's not even like actual Christianity. It's just the way the faith is being practiced, especially in the States right now. So going through this one, Jack has some thoughts on it. He goes, the whole key here is moral relativism. Corey, in this case, doesn't give a shit about anybody else's ideas on what's morally right or wrong. He does what he wants, and if it's wrong, he doesn't care. He lacks the status in society to do this without consequences, but again, doesn't care. So, if ending up in a lawsuit, if not criminally convicted, does not seem alpha because it's stupid because acting so overtly against society's assumed inherent morality has consequences. Think of our society as a board game. You can ignore the rules, shove the pieces up your nose, just like Corey. This will ensure you're not one of the chumps who plays the game strictly by the rules, only to lose, but nobody is going to think you're a winner. Other players cheat and try not to get caught. The more you cheat, the better you do, and the more pissed off everybody gets if you get caught. Barry Bonds, Bernie Madoff, they knew they were violating the rules and they didn't give a fuck. This thing, unlike Corey, at least you're still playing. You can cheat and get caught, and most of the time, everybody still lets you play a few games later anyways. They don't just want to cooperate you, or they don't just won't cooperate with you or help you ever win again. This is fine if you don't need any cooperation, but most cheaters get caught before they can win without anybody's help. Others read the rules and find ways to outwardly conform while they subtly tilt things in their favor over time. They also know the public rules are different from how the game is played. So if the rules in the game are an effective weapon that they can wield when advantageous and bend when disadvantageous, they want the cooperation of other players to win, and nobody will cooperate with you if you're clearly not even cooperating with the rules. Lastly, there are those that play to the letter of the rules, hoping that enough iterations of playing will eventually lead you to the victory you're told are statistically due. But they keep losing, and everybody says, hey, you're playing great, I'm sure you'll get better next time, and they may suspect that it's bullshit, and maybe the public rules are more limiting, and maybe they should try to find those secret private rules that winners seem to use. But then they're told, dude, there's no secret rules. If you try and you do that and you're not following the rules, you're just like Corey and you're bad. You don't want to be like that. Shoving pizzas up his nose. It looks like he's having fun, but he'll never win because we won't let him play. So ante up, sucker. Since there is no ultimate good to defer to, you have to know what you want so that you can ask yourself the right questions. So everybody is the last guy, everybody but the last guy in that situation is an alpha. But clearly, in the game of life, their pieces end up on very different places of the board. That's Jack's thing. For me, that's kind of gobbledygook. Whatever. Look, he's right. Like, I know Venkatesh Rao talks about this. You've heard of the Gervais principle, probably. And that's within any organization, there's three groups. There's winners, there's sociopaths, there's losers, and there's the clueless. The idea of the clueless people are the ones that always play by the rules. and they just want to be nice to everybody. Sociopaths are the ones that break the rules and do what they need to do, and they end up getting ahead. And the losers are economic losers in this case. They're the ones that know the rules, but they can't play the game because they're not good at it, and therefore they lose. And they talk about the different types of interactions between them. There's posturing, there's baby talk, and there's straight talk. So sociopaths talk to each other in power talk. Sociopaths talk in the clueless people, as they call it, baby talk. And they talk to the losers with straight talk, because you don't have to put any pretense with them. Now, what does any of this have to do with anything? Not much. Here's your takeaway from a red-pilled perspective, a red-pilled lens. There is rules in society, things you shall do and things you shall not do. There are consequences. There is also the likelihood of these things being enforced. It's straight up risk analysis. And that comes with everything. Sometimes just being a likable person allows you to bend the rules a little bit. Sometimes being more attractive, you get that halo effect, you get to bend the rules a little bit. Sometimes you work for a company, but you make them so much money that they bend the rules for you too. So there is two sets of rule books, and this is a very classic red pill concept. There is the rules, and then there is the actual rules that people play by. And this is whether it's making money, this is about whether it's having sex, this is about how you're going to do your marriage, everything. Just understand that. And this is everywhere. You'll see this. It's called subtext. The Christian girl who talks about, I don't do that on a first date, I'm not like that anymore. And you go onto Twitter, you'll see them talk constantly about all their virtuous piety and all that crap, and they don't believe any of it. Some of the nastiest women you'll ever meet are the most devout women. You know why? Because they have to be. That's how they signal to the clueless people, I'm one of you. And the clueless guy thinks, I can get them, that'll be great. Meanwhile, the sociopath guy, the one who just plays the game by his own rules, has some fun, plays by the underhanded rules, and as long as he's smart enough to give outward appearances of playing by the rules, he'll be fine. Of course, there's this other thing, and that is most alphas end up in jail. Most alphas end up in jail. What do I mean by that? I guess Tate would be a good example. Andrew Tate. You see him, he's tall, he's physically fit. I don't think he's attractive, but maybe he is, I don't know. Kickboxing, status, money, all those things make him super attractive. Absolutely does not act according to any kind of ethical and moral rule book that you've ever heard of. And he got away with it for a long time, and then he didn't. And that's the same thing. If you're, aggressive, aloof, uncaring, that kind of stuff, very attractive from a dark triad perspective. But problem is, you get that guy, eventually things catch up to him, goes to jail. So you have to always keep this in mind. You gotta, just because something is sexually attractive doesn't necessarily mean it's a good idea. You have to draw a line somewhere. And this is, again, boundaries and frame are so important. How badly do you want it? How bad do you want to get laid? You want to get laid big enough to maybe, jaywalk? Sure, why not? Maybe to speed a little bit, make her excited, put her on a motorcycle. Maybe you're not wearing the proper safety gear, you're riding squid. Oh, that's dangerous, but you're safe with that. You make your risk judgment. Are you willing to storm the Capitol on January 6th in hopes that one of the girls there, one of the protest girls, will fall in love with you? Well, maybe that's a line you shouldn't cross. But again, it's not for me to tell you. It's for nobody else to tell you but yourself. And I hate to say it, but the consequences can be pretty dire. But I'll just say this too. The same guys that are the clueless types that try to do the rule book, they're not any safer. Right now, there's a big vibe where you have to defend women that you don't even know. There's videos everywhere of guys, getting stomped by a whole bunch of hoodlums in the street, or a girl getting smacked around by like a gangster. They're like, if I was a man, I'd go and defend her. And then you see, every time guys do that, the girl ends up jumping the dude. He ends up getting killed, stabbed in the neck. The girl goes away with the psychopath anyway. So it looks like you just really have to play smart. I wish I could say there's an ideal path or a perfect place to draw. You just have to be smart about it and stop letting people manipulate you with their stupid values, because they all suck, all of them. And all you have is your best judgment. Your best judgment, and understand the things that make you a good person and the things that get you laid are not the same things. They're tangential. That means they're completely irrelevant one way or the other. But I'm a nice guy. Nobody cares. Are you sexually attractive? Yes. All right, that'll get you laid. Won't get you a relationship, but it'll get you laid. But again, what do you want? As with everything, it's all about what you want.